The way is mainly step by step. Okay, the very first step is design a form in ASP.NET that helps end user to input their data to your web form. Okay, I will give you a simple example. Okay, so you have to validate your data before sending to server side. So when you talk about WinForms, they are very specific to the machine where they are installed, and the code is only C Sharp, which executes or validates your input data. But here we have two variants, two set of codes are there. One is ASP.NET scripting, another one is the combination of ASP.NET scripting and C Sharp. The another combination is HTML and JavaScript. Okay, so HTML is markup language that defines how the layout can be, uh, how the look and feel of a form should be. Okay, that defines that one, and it provides an interface for users. A layout, it gives a simple layout. Okay, but whereas JavaScript, it provides client side validations as well as some operations. If you want to perform those operations, can be performed by using JavaScript client side. Okay, JavaScript is nothing different from your C sharp. Okay, both are same alike. The difference is very minimal. So once you know C sharp, you can learn JavaScript very easily. Okay, but JavaScript executes only on client's browser. So I may talk mainly about the terminology I use is client-side scripting, server-side scripting, server and client. Okay, always whenever I speak server, that is IIS server, that is Internet Information Service. The second server side scripting means it can be ASP.NET or C Sharp. Okay, or both together. And client means your browser. So a browser installed on your machine, it can be IE, Chrome, Opera, Navigator, Mozilla Firefox, whatever browser you prefer or you like, that is your client. Okay, and client side scripting means HTML and JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript is client side code. We call it as client side script. Okay, so the terminology you have to remember, server means IIS server and it executes C Sharp as well as ASP.NET. The codes written in ASP.NET as well as C Sharp, they are executed by your IIS server, whereas the client side script means HTML and JavaScript, that is processed by your client, that means browser. Okay, this terminology you remember till we complete our course. Okay, not only course, for your entire career you can remember like this. Okay, so why these two are different? Okay, so all the browsers, they are developed to process or parse means line by line executing the code. Okay, all the browsers, they are developed to parse HTML, CSS and JavaScript. These are the basic combination. So any browser, if you open any URL on your browser, these are very important. These three only can be, your browser can execute these three codes only. Whatever you have write in these three technologies, that can be understandable by your browser. No other things can be executed by your browser. Okay, that's the very important thing you have to remember. So that's why combination of these three we call it as client side technologies. Client means always a browser in web applications. In web applications perspective, client is always your browser. Okay, and now server side means C Sharp and ASP.NET. So I will give you a simple example. One guy knows English and another guy knows Hindi. Okay, they don't know any other languages. One guy knows only English and another guy knows only Hindi. No other languages they can speak. Okay, if they two want to communicate something, how they can communicate. So the thing is, some mediator should be there or some translator should be there. That translator, he should know both the languages. Okay, so English as well as Hindi. He should know both the languages, so that whenever the person one speaks in Hindi, the translator translate the language whatever he speak into English, and he conveys the message to the person who knows English. The say it happens vice versa, right? The same thing taken care by your IAS server. Okay, this is mainly your IAS server. It takes requests from client. Client means your browser, and it processes that request and executes that respective C# or ASP.NET code on whichever application. Current పోయిందమ్మా. Can do one thing. Let us continue. So the thing is mainly we can let me stop other applications which are running. Okay, the thing is mainly the server side code. Your IAS server is just like a translator, which acts like translator between your client and server side. So whichever application, a web application you deployed on IAS server, that can be served by your IAS server to the client. So whenever client makes a request to the server executes that respective C sharp respective ASP.NET file and gives back a result. Okay, gives back a result in the form of your client side markup language and combination of your client side markup language, CSS and JavaScript. Okay, these three set the combination will be written to the client, so that the client can execute, the browser can execute the code, and it presents you some UI. Okay, so that's the main thing of ASP.NET and IAS server. You got this point, right? So in this process, so you need to develop some screens as I asked you yesterday. So now is it visible? Okay, so the thing is, so we, as we developed some screens in WinForms, the same way we can develop the web forms in Visual Studio the same way. So we have many more controls when you compare to WinForms. The thing here is we need some validations. So why I told the client side script and server side script is these two, the client side script executes on the client itself. Okay, means the JavaScript executes on your machine. Whenever you are running some web application, take ASP.NET. So whatever code you have written in C# and ASP.NET, that will be executed by your IAS server. Okay, and whenever the IAS server sends some combination of HTML, JavaScript and CSS, these three technologies will be executed on the client machine. Okay, client machine means client browser. Okay, your browser will execute all this code. The very important thing lies here. Okay, so why these two scripts are separated? That's fine. So I will give you a simple example, another example. So you are filling some application. So today you have some you have some work, that is you have to fill some application and submit to office, a government office. Okay, so there is a big queue, there is a heavy crowd and it is a big queue. So you forgot to sign on your form, you entered some wrong data on your application form. Okay, when you went to submit that form, you were in a big queue, in a big line. Okay, after some 1 hour time, you got your chance, so that you went and you submitted your application, and the receiver, he told you have entered some wrong information. By the time when you look back, there is the that big line even more, that line, there are even more crowd now. Okay, what you will do? So there is no other choice, you have to come back and you have to take a new application form and you have to fill freshly, you have to fill all the values. Okay, so instead of that, if you validate everything before, only before going to submit that form, okay, all your data is validate or not, and if you validate everything is correct, and the time you go to your that application counter and you submitted your application, if everything is correct, so that will be processed and your job will be done in very less time, right? So the same thing happens in ASP.NET or any web technology. So client-side script mainly intended to process some operations which doesn't require server actions. Okay, and then some validations means that can be, so some fields, so whenever you are registering on a Google account or MSN account, so any website, if you are registering, if they ask for first name and last name, you are not entering those two fields and you are moving on, so that time they will fire some, they will show some red mark, so please fill first name, or this is a required field, something, some message like that they will show. So instead of sending the data to server and server validates that, and if that is a proper data, then only it saves the data into database, something like that means. So every time there may be, your application may be accessed by some lakhs of users, so that time if you are sending each request without validating from client side itself, you are sending all the data, means it will be a great burden on your server, so that your server cannot process all the requests. So the time when you feel, so that if you can validate from client side itself, so that the data will be correct data, so that the server side it will be saved without any processing, with less processing, the data will be saved to database. Okay, so that's where the importance of validation controls came, and all these are server side controls, just like your text box, other controls. Okay, so what, how they will operate is, so we have mainly these many validation operators, that is required field validator, range validator, compare validator, regular expression validator, custom validator, and validation summary. Okay, these six are very very important, and it is a interview question even. Okay, so they will ask what are different types of validation controls and why they are. So the validation controls are mainly to validate your form data. Form data means your web form, you are giving some fields, so where user can input some data, and you can validate that data whether that is correct according to your requirements or not. Okay, to validate that, Microsoft provided few controls. Okay, these are the controls. We'll see each one individually. Okay, so the very first is all these controls, they derive from base validator class. Okay, the base validator class, it has few properties, common properties among all these validation controls. Control to validate. So you have already some input controls. So text box, radio button, checkbox, checkbox list, drop down, and few controls are there. Okay. So which control you want to validate? So you can specify, you can add a required field validator, and for that in the property you can mention the control id, the other control id. So for which control the validation should happen, and then display. So display means how the error message should display. Means by static means at the time of form load only you want to show the message, this is required, something like that. Or after, if they missed entering some value, or there is some incorrect data, that time you want to show that message. So that one you can mention that property. Enable client side script indicates whether client side validation will take. So all these validation controls, they will be rendered or converted to some JavaScript side functions, so that the client side validation, so the JavaScript, anyway I told you, right, that is a client side script. So the client side script, client side only executes, it reduces the burden on the server. So you want to enable that script or not. And enabled means, so enables or disables the validator. That means if you want to enable, so if that validator have to work or not, this property will decide. An error message, if user enters some incorrect data, what message you want to show, that is error message. Text is by default what you want to show, that is the one. And is valid indicates whether the user input data is valid or not, means that is correct or not. And set focus on error, this will if you put true, this one will help you to whenever some wrong data, so first name and last name is there, you forgot to enter first name and you clicked on submit button, that time directly the control will take you, the cursor will go and sit on that first name text field wherever you pointed your validator. So that user will be user can easily identify which control he missed, so which field he missed to enter some value. Okay, that is one. Validation group, this validation group means in your form you may have number of sections to enter values, okay, input data. That time if you can use validation group, so some set of groups, how I can give the example is, so in Facebook you may entering some data, only your personal data and your educational data and your experience. So these are three different sections, you may be asked all the things together to enter. That time for each section you may have different buttons. Okay, the validation, whenever you click on, you forgot to enter some value in your personal information and you enter all the correct values in educational information and you are trying to submit only your education information, that time it should not fire the validation against your personal information. You got the point, right? So that time what you can do is, the validation controls you can separate, you can maintain like groups. Okay, so that's how you can maintain validation groups. And then validate, this method is revalidates the control and updates the is valid property. Means when you click on when you execute this method and it revalidates the value in the text field and it gives you the exact value. Okay, you guys are clear or any doubts on this? Okay, I hope you guys are clear. So we'll move on to next control, that is required field validator. So we'll see each control in action. Okay, so what I will do is I will add a new form to my application. Add new web form. This is validation controls. So I will go to design mode. I will add a table for, so I will take three columns. 100% not required, I will put 60%. Okay, so my first is first name. Okay, here I will drag and drop a text box. Okay, I will add last name, same way text box. So let me change the name of this text box. What is the ID? This is txt last name, txt first name. Okay, now date of birth. I will take age. Okay, email ID. Okay, details and compatibility. Okay, first we will see for this. So I'll add button. Okay, this is video and submit. Here submit. Okay, so I have few controls like this on my page. So before submitting, I want to validate whether the uh, entered information is correct or not. So for that, the required field validator, what it does is, it will validate whether the user has entered a correct value or not. User entered some value or not into a text box or a radio button list or checkbox list if you have, or a drop down list, whether user selected an option or not. So this will validate whether user has input some value or not, selected some value or not. Okay, the syntax for this control is ASP required field validator ID run it server control to validate. You have to give which control you want to validate, and error message, what error message you want to give, and initial value. Initial value means some default value your text box may have. Okay, so that default text, other than that, means the default text by default it will be a blank value. If you are giving some value into it, so that time, so please select a candidate. In drop down sometimes you can see select country, so that is the default text. So if that is the case, that time also it shouldn't allow the initial value is a default value. You should select some other value other than the initial value. Okay, so you can mention these four properties: control to validate, error message, initial value, and then ID. Okay, so these are the minimum values you should provide. Okay, so we will see here. I have validation controls here. So I will take required field validator here, and I am dragging and dropping here. So you can see REQ1 error message. Please enter first name. Okay, and then initial value, so by default it will be blank. You should keep it blank, that's okay, fine. And control to validate where it is, so this is here. It will show all the text IDs you have on your page. That is first name we are going to validate. This is email ID. Okay, so for this you can even give some four color. It should be red. Okay, just type red, that's fine. Okay, so and display type you can keep dynamic, otherwise it will take, or you can keep text as some star mark so that people will recognize like it is a required field. Okay, so that if they don't give any value, it will give some error message, please enter a value for first name. Okay, so we'll run and see this one. So first name is there. So this form won't be submitted until and unless I provide some value here. Script resource. What is this? I think some dependency issue. Let me check. So if you get some issues, you just Google it so that you guys able to hear me? Hello.
Yes,
Okay. So internet is not working. Okay, thank you. So the thing it has to work. So let me check it here. So why internet is not working? Guys, give me a minute. I will change my network provider. Okay. Hello guys. So able to see my screen? Hello. Okay. So the problem is with 4.5, the latest version, the validation controls. We need to set up some key on web.config. Okay, this is the key validation settings, unobstructive mode, value none. So we have to give this settings. Okay, now you can see if I don't provide this value, it gives me please enter the first name. Okay, something like this. It will give a message so that this form won't be submitted until you provide something. So submitting means your page will refresh or your page, entire page will be submitted to the server. Okay, so these are the validation controls. This is required field, so you need to provide at least a value here, otherwise you cannot move on. Okay, this is John. Now if you give some value, there is no error and you can proceed. Okay, so that is one thing. And next, so any doubts on this required field validator? You guys are clear? Okay, so next is range validator. A range validator is like, so from what range to, so from where to where the value should be. Okay, it can be you can define event types. The types can be date type, currency type, double, integer, and summa, okay, and string values. So from which value to which value your the user input should be there. That can be, you can define using range validator. Okay, we will see that one. So this age, I will add a validation control to this. Okay, that is range validator. You can give age should be between 17 to 22. Okay, like this you can give, and your message, your id range validator 1, that's fine. So control to validate, you can give the control text age, and data type you have to define. Where is this order? So type, there is a type, you can define this one to integer. So you have multiple options. You can define string, double, date, or currency. So I am taking integer. Control to validate. Okay. For color I will take as red again. Okay. So the display I am taking, I will take dynamic, means runtime it will show, otherwise statically it will show. So now I am going to run this. Okay, sorry. So I have to define start value and end value. Minimum value is 17. Okay, maximum value is 22. Minimum value is 70. Okay. So now I have given very first time it asks me for this one, last name and age. I can give some 12. So you can see it immediately it shows age should be between 17 to 22. So if I give 17, that's fine. If I give more than 24 also, it will throw an error. So this kind of validations you can do by using uh, range validator. Okay, is it fine? Or any doubts on this range validator? I hope it is fine. So the next is the syntax for range validator. If you want to write code wise, so everything drag and drop I am showing you in design mode, but you can write even from code side. So the beauty of Visual Studio is it will uh, it will guide you. So whenever you are typing something in source control, source view, it will guide you. So something like this, ASP, see, this is called uh, intelligence. Visual Studio intelligence means whatever you are typing, according to that it will show you some options, available options. So I have typed ASP here. If I want to write something, label I can give, it gives even the options id, lbl test, and even next. Okay, if you want some text to be assigned, you can give sample, something like this. So it will guide you. That is called IntelliSense, Visual Studio IntelliSense. Okay, that is helpful. So because of this also .NET got very popular. So till the earlier days no other language was supporting the IntelliSense. Because of this .NET got fame. Okay, because of this the rapid application development is made very easy. Okay, so code wise if you want to write, this is the syntax, and compare validator. So whenever you are registering on any website, it will ask you for type password and retype password. So both the passwords you have to enter same values. So if you don't enter same values, it will throw password mismatch error, right? So that kind of validations can be implemented by using compare validator. You can give the type, control to compare, value to compare, and operator, or you can control to compare and control, and two options are there that we will see now. Okay, I will add here password, right click, insert row below. Okay, retype password. So just drag and drop your text box here, same way here. So this one. So text mode, we have three options available. Oh, now they changed with HTML5. They changed many things. So you can see color, something color palette if you want to select, date if you want to select, date time if you want to select, you can do date time local, email. So email field if you want to do, you can do directly, month, number, range. So we can take password. So we are entering password, right? So password type of field, and text box ID I will give txt password. The same way the second field also I will give this one, password txt retype password. Okay, so I can add a compare validator here. So here I will put compare validator. What I will do is, this is cmp1 error message, password mismatch. Okay, for color red, operator equal, set focus on error means it will be true. Okay, so I'm just testing this one. Compare to validate and control to validate, these two are the properties. So control to compare, so from which control you want to compare the value, so that is txt password, and control to validate is your second retype password. Okay, these two are the controls. So now run your form. Okay, first I have to enter this one, John D. Page, some 18, email ID. I will give some, okay, and password I will give something. Okay, this is 4 characters. I am going to give some other characters. You can see password mismatch. Okay, whenever you want to compare two values or two control values, you can use compare validator. Okay, so like this you can validate, or you can compare two values by using compare validator. This is very helpful while designing your registration forms on web page. So these controls are not available in WinForms, and you have to validate everything from C# itself. That's why I didn't tell you about any validation in WinForms. Okay, you have to write everything in C# and you have to validate from your code behind file, that is a CS file. So we have designer file and code behind C# file for any form, right? In WinForms, same way we have in web forms also. So you can validate from web form C# file, but the thing is, as I told you, it increases the burden on server. So to reduce that, you can use validation controls and they will execute on client side itself. Okay, so is it fine? Compare validators or any doubt? Okay, I hope you guys are clear. So what is the next control? Regular expression validator. So for your understanding, I have given some tables. I brought it from research on Google and I got it for you guys for some samples. Okay, so regular expression means you may have some zip code or pin code and you may have some email ID or phone number. They will have some certain format. Email ID means you should have some abcd at the rate abcd.com, something like that. So that kind of format, any email ID should follow that format. And the zip code means some 5 letters or 6 letters. It should not exceed or less than the number of characters. uh, that number of digits should be there. Mobile number means you will have three decimals, means three numbers and a space or hyphen, and then three decimals and then hyphen and four decimals. Okay, four numbers. Like that you may have a format, a fixed format that for that. So that kind of formats, if you want, date means it will be dd mm yy. So that kind of formats, if you want to validate, you can use regular expressions. So these regular expressions are very useful to validate user input is in a correct format or not. So remaining all are whether they entered or not, and whether that is in a particular range or not, and the value is equivalent to the prior entered the enter value or the value you are expecting. So that kind of validations you are doing. But this regular expression is very useful when you want to validate some zip code or email addresses or a particular format. Okay, so that you can validate using regular expressions. And these are regular expressions, that is a big subject again. Okay, so for example, I have given few things. So if you give a backward slash and b, it matches a backspace. And slash t means it is a tab, slash means carriage return, means a new line. Okay, and slash n also a new line. Slash f matches form feed. V means vertical tab. Slash means escape character. And some quantifiers are there. Those are: star means everything, plus means one or more matches, question mark means zero or one match, in curly brackets n means a number. Okay, n comma means n or more matches, nm means between n and m values. Okay, like this you have dot means matches any character except new line. ABCD matches any character in the set, means you can enter A or B or C or D or ABCD. And you have that angular mark excludes any character in the set, means that is just like negation without those characters. And you are mentioning the other one is 2 to 7 a to m and a to m, means 2 to 7 any number, and a to m means small letters a to m and capital letters a to m, means in that range anything can come. Slash w means matches any alphanumeric character and underscore. Slash capital W matches any non-word character. Slash s that matches characters like space, tab, new line, etc. And slash capital S matches any non-white space characters. Slash d matches any decimal character. Slash capital D any non-decimal character. So these are just for your understanding I have given, but we will see with a simple example, an email validator. So I have something here, email field. So this one we will try to validate. Okay, we will implement some validation for this field. Regular expression validator, I am keeping it here. So this is provide a valid email ID. I am asking. Okay, now for color red, ID regular expression RU1. Display dynamic, that's okay, fine. Control to validate txt email id, and then validate expression. So by default your Visual Studio provides some regular expressions. The common regular expressions used in web applications, one is French phone number, Okay, the format of that one will be like this: French postal code. It is just 5 digits. German phone number, you can see something like this: German postal code. It is a non-digit and hyphen and 5 digits. Internet email address. Internet URL means any web URL. Japanese phone number, Japanese postal code, PRC phone number, PRC. So we will validate only email address. Okay, is it fine? So now I will run this form. So I will directly come to here. I enter something. So provide a valid email ID. So that is wrong. So abcd@ab.com. You can see. So it should be something like you should have some characters in front of at the rate. After that, at the rate, you should have some character set and dot and com. So something like this. So this is the format defined for this. So if you see this control, you can see something here. Some regular expression they have given here. Okay. So this is the entire regular expression. You can see at the rate. Before that, this set of characters can repeat. Okay. So this regular expressions is completely a different subject. So just for your understanding, I am giving this. So email address, regular expression is this. That is already available in your Visual Studio. So no need to bother about that. For any other formats also, you can Google and you can get those regular expressions. Okay, so this is your form. After that, we have custom validator. This is very rarely we use. So the thing is, custom validator, it allows writing application specific custom validation routines for both client side as well as server side. So you can maintain, like, you want to validate this one client side or server side, and you can write your own code to validate the control. Okay, this is very rarely used, that's why I'm not giving an example for this. Okay, so after that we have validation groups. Okay, so we have some validation summary. Sorry. So validation summary is there. Validation summary, you will have show summary or show message box. So what is validation summary means? If I don't enter some anything here, if I try to submit, it is asking please enter enter first name. Okay, and then you can have multiple validators like this. So that is one. I have given something here wrong. This one. Okay, this is wrong. Is also I am giving wrong. So I have these many messages here. So everything is showing here next to the control. If you want to show this message, all these messages together in a single place, that time the validation summary is very helpful for you. What you can do is just drag and drop a validation summary control on top of your table, wherever you want. Okay, I am taking here, but wherever you want you can take. I'm just right clicking, modify, merge cells, so everything will be merged. So I have validation summary control here. What it will do is, whatever errors are there on my page are there on my validation, this group, I can define even group for this. That groups I will explain you after this. So whatever on my page, whatever errors on my page, all together they will be displayed wherever this validation summary control kept. Okay, validation summary 1 I am keeping. So you have show validation errors true. So you have two options. So one is show message box, is that if you keep this as true, it will open a window just like your message box, and it will show the errors occurred on your page. And if you put false, it will show inline, means on the page itself it will show all the errors. Okay, we will see that one. First name I am not entering, age I am giving 12, email ID some wrong. Okay, so all these are my errors. So altogether it gives me some pop-up here. Okay, at the same time it gives me a summary here. So summary of errors here. Actually, if you want to show, if you don't want to show this, the properties of all these error validation controls, you can keep the display. I have given dynamic. You can, if you specify that as none, okay, for these controls, where is this? If you provide that one as none, there will be, there won't be displayed next to your control. Okay. So I'm just refreshing it. You can see it is showing a pop-up as well as a summary here. Okay, this is validation summary. Any doubts on this? Are you guys are clear? I hope you guys are clear. Or is it boring? Okay. Finally, I have validation groups. So validation groups means you can maintain these controls into different groups. Okay. So what I will do is this one. I will change this submit buttons text as uh, name. Okay. Name validator, and then I will add one more button here. This button will be password validator. Okay. So I will maintain two groups. One is name validator. I can give validation group property to something name, and then is also I will take it as name group, and email ID I will take it as name group, and then only compare validator I will take password group, and then name validator. For this button I will keep the validation group name, and for this button I will keep the name password. Okay, and this error summary, what group we can keep? I will keep name only. Okay, so if I run this form, when I click on this, please enter first name. It is showing like this. So if I give some wrong password, it will validate, it will not validate. But when I click on this, oh, I have given none property for this, so I have to give this one dynamic or static. So we will see. Okay, if I give, so when I click name validator, you can see that one, that validator gone. So that validator won't be visible because the validation groups we separated. Okay, the validation controls we separated by a group name, so that according to that name only the validation controls will be executed. So far you guys are clear on validation controls. So this is very important and a very important question in interviews too. So you guys are clear? Are any doubts? Okay guys, so the Next assignment for today is, okay, so where we have ended. So the assignment is, you have already, I I think you guys have implemented all the screens, okay, but I am adding here the note. So we have seen all of the controls. Create screens for manage classes, manage branches, manage examinations. So I'm not asking you guys to develop or write any code. I'm just asking you to write, develop some screens. I'm not asking you to write some C# code or something. I'm just asking you guys to develop some screens where I can see the proper controls for the forms. So manage classes means the name and description and the buttons add class, delete class, add class, update class, delete class and cancel, like this. Okay. Same way branches, examinations, manage students, manage leaves, manage marks. Okay. For all this I need screens. So after that, implement validations for the forms. Okay. Okay, so for all the above forms. Okay, so this is my assignment for you guys. So please work on this and complete. Tomorrow we will discuss about data source controls and all the data controls, so that the basic ASP.NET will be completed. Then I will move on to theory, how it is rendering, how the process is happening, what is the ASP.NET, the server side, how it works, and client request, how it will be processed. The things I will discuss, so that it will be very useful for your interviews and even the knowledge you will gain. So why I am giving you all the assignments and practical part in the beginning means, so you are already came from the WinForms, so you understood WinForms, and WinForms are very the same way how you drag and drop in WinForms, the same features are here, so that you can implement these practicals very easily. Then we will see how it happens in web forms, how the architecture is and how it executes the applications. All these things we will see later. Okay. Okay guys, have a nice day. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.